correct. Anyway, I'm up very early because I have to accommodate the time zones and stuff.
Yeah, of course. But as I said, it wouldn't be a problem for me to have the meeting a little bit later for your sake. But since you have to go to work,
Let's go. I'm
so
doing
is there a way that I can monitor my own picture just to be sure that I'm is
uh,
there is there
just
a double camera view here available or something?
just push the video button where you see it has the camera logo.
There you go. Right.
Awesome. How are
Right.
you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine.
I'm
Uh,
do I'm doing swell myself.
so, what brought you to the idea to track down all the old guys from the old times?
Well, basically me replaying the games and I'm just curious of how all these amazing memorable songs from when I was a kid to my teens were created.
Yeah, right. And there were a lot, a lot. I
Oh
mean,
yes.
uh, we've been published on such samplers. I probably you do know all these samplers. There must be 30,
Oh
40
yes. I
being on the
was
market.
yeah, I've been listening to that album. Amazing album.
Which album you're talking about?
Oh, the one you just had in your hand, Dance Mania Speed.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
listed
those. Look at that, the glorious, old glorious time of SNK.
yes.
By the way, did you try to reach out for Brian Cornell? You know, the other part of SNK.
Yeah, I tried looking for him. I couldn't find his social media, so
Mm.
you were like the only one that was visible.
Yeah, he became pretty disconnected to the music business at all. A couple of years later, he started career at the software company Red Hat, and he became a pretty he got a leader position in Europe. He was a kind of a CEO for Red Hat Europe, and pretty busy. And yeah,
Amazing.
every 2 or 3 years, he's given me a call, and then we're talking about a little bit of the old times. And but yeah, he became a very busy guy in a complete different world.
Oh yes. Anyway, I have the questions ready. It's a total of 15 questions.
15 questions. Okay.
All right, question one. What was it like growing up in Germany?
um, well, I mean, since that's the only country I grew up, I the only thing I can tell that was fine. I mean, compared to the possibilities, I would have been a person when I grew up in the States. That would be probably became a complete different life for me. And I was born in an American hospital in Germany in Bremerhaven, which means that I actually been born as an American citizen. So then I became the German citizenship. When my mother took me back to Germany, I spent the first 3.5 years in Shippensburg, Pennsylvania, and since then I grew up in Germany. So
Now,
what can I tell? I mean, it was my life. There's no other life I could tell and compare to. So I'd say growing up in Germany, it was just fine.
uh, great answer. I've been living in America my whole life, so that's why I enjoy interviewing the Dance Mania guests the most, and obviously the Bimani vocalists because they were living in Japan at that time, and I love listening to all the different walks of life, living in Europe and stuff.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, of course, since we are all connected via social media and Zoom and Skype and all those technology, we can share a lot. Um, how living is and how culture and how the feel is living in different parts of the world. Yeah, it's amazing time, I'd say.
Absolutely. Question two.
Yes.
When and how were you bitten by the music bug?
Well, that starts right in the beginning. My family does have a little bit musical background. My father, he was a musician. My great father, my great grandfather, all these guys were pretty serious musicians. And I grew up in a family where music was all day around, especially classical music. Also, my mother, she plays the viola. And yes, so I'd been interested from my childhood. I think I took place on a grand piano when I was 4 or 5, and just playing, noodling around. And later on, I went to a music school and learned the classical guitar. That was my very first instrument. At this time, I was like 14, 15 ish. Yeah, and music was all around. But also, I became very interested in technology. So um, um, the opposite to the rest of my family, I went straight away to to modern music, pop and jazz and everything. I mean, back in the 80s, where the electronic synthesizer music starts to became the hot shit. I was really excited about all that stuff. So I I'd never turned my musical career. I never headed to to the traditional orchestral classical stuff like all my other uh, family members did. So I'm probably my family. I'm the first one who um, spent more time and interest in modern music and especially in music technology.
Yeah, great answer. But yeah, like the 80s and stuff, that was when like Kraftwerk and stuff was
Yes.
becoming big because it was really unique of them to have this keyboard make all these great sounds.
Yeah, completely new sounds. Until then, in the band, the drummer, the bass player, the guitar player, maybe two guitar or the Hammond organ and some vocals. That's pretty much that's it. And once the Moog and all the other synthesizers came into the markets, yeah, things start change quite a lot. And yeah, it was a beautiful time to grow up in the world of music. My
Oh,
first sampler, my first it was so amazing. I I never forget the moment when you record a sample into the Akai. What was it? Akai S600, and then you hit the key and you listen repeatedly to a loop or to your vocal sample. It was just the funniest, exciting thing ever.
oh yes, I bet. Question three. How would you describe your process of being a musician? Do you like write your notes on a sheet or do you just like play something and then work a song around it?
Yeah, well, that's exactly brings us back to the first question. No, the second. That was the second question. Uh, since I never turned into the classical traditional music, I was probably also the first member in my family who denied everything has to relate with notation and all that stuff. It felt like when mostly I spent time on with street music, or I met some other musicians in the park, and we just played along. We did sessions, we just improvised, we did all kind of stuff. And I mean, of course, there were some substances were involved, I have to admit, but that brings you to another level of making music instead of just repeating something that's written down on a piece of paper. It's a completely different approach to making music. And the first years when I studied the classical guitar, of course, I had to work with note sheets, but I stopped doing that and never turned back. So these days, I'm not really specialized in the music theory. Everything is just in my head and my feeling. And of course, I have sometimes I have to try a lot, try and error, try this, try that. And this takes it's time consuming, but maybe it takes you to different things you would never find by accidents. Most things in making music is built by accidents, by the way. And then you do a mistake and think, oh, that might be interesting, and you take this little piece and then you try to build something around, and then the song making process starts. That's just one catchy idea, and then you have to find how to introduce the idea with an intro, how to repeat the idea without getting boring, and then it takes the time, and then you construct your song, and you find the right choreography to introduce the idea, the catchy moment where people get excited and waiting for that moment, the hook line, and so on and so on. And that's in a short version, roughly the process of making a song.
Great answer. And yeah, like I've been watching documentaries because I'm into jazz. It's quite amazing how those jazz musicians can just riff and improvise, but they can perform it like it's written.
Yes, yeah, well, but it's like playing the chess game. There are certain patterns, certain moves where you answer with the other move. It's like a huge database in your spine where you just pull out the right move for the move your opponent will confront you. And a little bit same happens when you do a session. Someone plays something and you answer that or play something along, and there are certain, it's not completely off anything. You have to agree a certain key that people can play together and jam together. And of course, there are a huge amount of phrases going on in music. Like in rock and roll, you have different phrasings and different rhythms, and blues and bluegrass. Every genre has its own profile of patterns and little pieces of things. Then, and yeah, it's like a puzzle where every piece has its place, and you just put it together, and something sounds right. I don't know if I made myself clear, but actually, it's pretty seldom that I'm thinking about this way. You start to think about when someone else gives you that question. So I do hope I can explain myself.
Yeah, that was a great answer, and I love the way you think.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Sometimes I don't know how I think.
same. All right, question 4. What is your philosophy on being a music producer?
Hmm. Not sure if I understand the question completely. What do you mean with philosophy being a producer? Like my producing style, or?
Yes, and how you and what music producing means to you.
Oh, music produce. Yeah, I mean, there are different reasons. At first, I wanted to try to make a living out of it. That's the first thing. But or maybe it's the second thing, to be honest. If you would start a song or produce some music only for the reason of making money, you should go home and leave it and get a job. That's my
Yes.
advice. It's kind of a process. Like sometimes it takes a day or 2 days, sometimes it takes a week. and it's like a process of having a baby bring into the world, you know, something. And when it's out and it's finished, and you do your upload and watch the response of your followers and listeners, this is kind of an addictive process, you know.
Oh
You feel
yes.
excited, you put your effort into it, and then you watch other people how they do their reacts. Not always the same, you know. Sometimes you
Yeah.
think this song, oh, that's a perfect song, everybody will be crazy about it, and nobody is crazy about it. And then you think, what went wrong? You never know. Sometimes it's really hard to predict whether a song or a production will be successful or not. And this kind of uncertainty, it's a little bit of gambling, I'd say. Like, you know, you try something, and then you have to finish. You have to put all the work into it until you can watch and see how good it's going to be performing, and you know, in kind of response of other people, whether they like it or not. Yeah, it's always kind of excitement. Um,
Great answer. And yeah, I like the whole excitement part and getting a job if you're serious about making money from music because unfortunately in the music industry they sign bad contracts so they barely make a profit. The record company gets all the money.
Yeah, in the old days, I mean, back in the times of SNK, I was signed with a contract. There was no other way, and of course, um, the publishing company, they did their job, kind of. You know, they did the promotion, they did all the management, they made sure that some nice photos are taken of our uh, but today they do the same contract without any effort. The only thing they do is just hoarding kind of the content, put it on their database in their library, and that's pretty much it is. And that's why I can advise to everybody who starts to work in the music business, just being independent as an independent musician or producer.
Yes.
And and these days it's pretty easy to publishing yourself.
Oh
I did
yes.
that.
uh,
Yes.
I'll let you finish, but I'll tell you when you're done.
Okay. Yeah. What I was where was I? Yeah. Just, you know, these days it's there's a lot of opportunities with, you know, with CD Baby, or with Bandcamp and all the platforms. Of course, you can put your stuff on Spotify and on iTunes. Still, Universal and Sony Music, they are very powerful, and they hold the market like the big pimps in their hands. And all the, you know, the millions of independent musicians and producers like myself, they have to deal with the crumbs falling off the table, you know. That's still a fact, but at least I have in my little world, in my small opportunities to be a part of the music business, I'm my own, you know. I have my control. I'm the one who I make a little money, but at least there's no other one who makes the money with my work, and that gives me the good feeling. Once someone, you know, cut off all the percentages of your work, and you've got the feeling being ripped off, and this is not a good position to be creative. So at least there's no one else trying to you know, draw me out with my work and my money. um, so yeah, it's a fact. You being independent musician, it's still a small business, and you don't have much power to influence your to build your career in the music business. But at least you're independent, and you've got your control of your own work.
Facts. And yeah, about the whole music thing, like now it's easy to upload stuff on Spotify and iTunes. Back then, like you really had to work your butt off on selling your records at your local mom and pop store out of the trunk of your car or selling it to DJs and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Also, I mean, there still, if I mean, we have to look differently on two major parts of musician existence. I'm sitting only in my studio and do my stuff and try to sell my stuff online and do my promotion for my stuff. But if I were a musician being on the stage 5 times a week, I would have other opportunities to, to hand out CDs or vinyls or coupons for downloads and all this kind of stuff. So also I could promote a lot of musicians, they think, okay, we can't make money with streaming, it's just a pocket money, but at least we build kind of a presence, and whenever someone listens on Spotify to my music, he might buy a ticket for the next concert in the town. So this is a different kind of self promotion, and I'd say pretty efficient. You in the old days, you never would have such a reach out in to a huge market. There was no Spotify or such. You were pretty independent on one distributor, and on the way he works. And I had the experience where I was assigned contract to a distributor, and he started working pretty well for us. And there was another after SNK. We had this project, DJ Kirk. This is a really classic vinyl here.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
it was published on CD, of course.
It's giving me goosebumps looking at
Yeah,
that.
vinyl, the good stuff. So we were contracted to a distributor, and then another act pops up. DJ Bobo. You might heard European listeners. They probably know pretty well DJ Bobo. He was very huge, successful, and he came from Switzerland, and he is from Switzerland still, and this publishing company were so occupied then with his act because he was just hugely successful, and they dropped pretty much. They didn't have enough personnel in their company to take care about DJ Kirk of our project, so all the forces went to that one act, and we were just sitting in the corner waiting for nothing. And all these kind of things can happen easily back in the days. And again, these days, at least you've got your own control, you work for yourself. And the reality is, I spent more time and effort in promoting my stuff than actually producing my stuff. It's kind of a 30-70. 30% I spent time here in my studio doing the creative stuff, and the rest of the time, 70% at least, I spent dealing with all the online stuff, platforms, royalty company, accounting and promotion, and so on. It's yeah, that's kind of the reality.
For sure. Question 5. How did you get into dance music?
Yeah, pretty straight on. I mean, pop music and electronic music brings you to the for the floor bass kind of based stuff right away. I mean, that was the absolute sequential thing to do. And also, I worked a lot, many years as a DJ myself. Yes, that was just, and I danced a lot myself on the dance floor like crazy. I spent a lot of hours on raves, back in the 90s where the raves were popular.
Yep.
I danced my ass off.
Oh yeah, like that must have been a lot of fun during that era.
Absolutely. It was the best era ever. And I'd never needed, substances to be on the dance floor. It
Oh
was just
yeah.
music that kicked me really, really, really beautifully in a completely different kind of existence, or how would you say, kind of different, you know.
Yeah. You're high.
Yes, it makes me really. That was a special kind of high. Just being forced by the music, by good sound systems, You know, in the 90s, clubs start to thinking about the quality of sound systems. It never, I mean, back in the 70s, 80s, the rock and roll clubs, the sound systems were just crappy, right? You came
Yeah.
home with the tinnitus in your ears. But in the 90s, where the techno clubs came to the market, they took care quite well about the sound quality of the sound systems. And that was just pure fun.
Oh
Best time
yes.
ever.
But yeah, when I listen to the Dance Mania Speed and I'm happy hardcore in general, I don't know if you've seen this show, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. There's a character named Carlton Banks, played by Alfonso Ribeiro, who's Will Smith's co-star before he became a big time actor. There's a scene at the prom where he accidentally takes speed thinking it was vitamins. He takes a whole lot of them. He's really energized to the max. That makes the Energizer Bunny look calm. He's really doing the Running Man very fast, and that does a backspin.
Yeah,
That's how I feel when I listen to that stuff.
yeah. But okay, Will Smith, yes. Was it the same guy? He did the hip hop projects like
Yeah, the Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff.
Jazzy Jeff, yeah, Summertime. Oh, I
Yes,
remember.
summer, summer, summertime.
Summertime. Yeah.
That's my
I love
jam.
that song. I love that really much.
Oh
Yes,
yes, that
I played
should.
it a lot on parties,
Oh
especially
yeah, that should have been in Dance Dance Revolution.
like as a speedy version.
Yes, and the original too.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
favorite German nightclub.
favorite German nightclub. Pretty much. I'd never. I was maybe two or three times. It was not my scene. It was a little bit too fancy for my stuff. But the most famous German nightclub is, of course, is Doy and Gray in Frankfurt Airport. Um, a lot of my DJ colleagues they used to play at that place. Um, yeah, Dorian Gray, and another very famous later on when when the wall were turned down between East and West Germany. In the east part of Berlin, there was this thing that's called Tresor. Tresor, which means it's that translates to vault. Vault. The
Yeah.
money money vault. VALT. I'm not sure whether I pronounce it correctly. Vault, vault. Is that
Yes.
okay? So Tresor means vault. Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. Very undergroundy techno scene stuff. We had a lot of those kinds in Germany.
Oh yes. Like I'm jealous of people that were alive in the 90s and were adults because the raves and stuff looked like a lot of fun, and I always say that I was born in the wrong era.
But from my perspective, I look, over the pond and being a little bit jealous. I sometimes think that would be nice to have been a part of Detroit, or never went to Burning Man. That must be totally crazy. Back in the days, today it became a commercial thing, I guess. But in the early years of Burning Man, that would be nice to be there for once.
Oh, for sure. Question 6. How did the act SNK come about? Because I know it's your initials. You're obviously K.
Yes. Yeah, I'm Kirk. Yeah, Brian Cornell. He has back the days. He's been already being in the hip hop scene, like as a rapper, and he's doing all the raps, and he's writing all the lyrics pretty nicely, and he called back the days. This today sounds a little bit fishy, I guess, but back the days he used to call them sugar daddy. That's where the S comes from. Sugar Daddy and Kirk.
Oh yes, that has an entirely different meaning today, but back then that if you were called a sugar daddy, you were like the coolest guy on the block.
I see. Okay. Probably these days the wording has some different meaning, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's something really dangerous for women.
Yeah. But it was really I think he named himself like in the early 90s with that wording, sugar daddy.
Yeah. But yeah, like that's a great story. And what okay, question 7. How did you meet him? The rapper?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um I really don't know where the initial we lived pretty not so far away from each other. He lived in a small next small town next to Frankfurt, just a half-hour drive. And I really don't remember what brought us together. What I remember once we came together, it was just it was a spark. We
Yeah.
started to talk about music, and he came. I already had a little home recording, small studio set up, back in the days with just sampler and a Cubase on Atari, stuff like this. And and then we start just playing around right away, and we did a lot of different stuff. But SNK, maybe that's going to be your next question. Don't want to uh, going ahead too far, so maybe I wait for that question. But we met kind of really music related. We found each other and talked about music, and then we start working together, and that was just especially he doesn't play an instrument. What our work together was so um, perfectly because we each other played the ball to each other. When I had an idea and he has immediately a good opinion about my idea, and he put it to the different context, and the arrangement, the song making arrangement was so perfectly together. We always had a very efficient way to to get rid of all the bad stuff in a song, to make it clean and to make it transparent and easy to understand, so that other listeners have an easy approach to the song. When you work alone, especially when you are not so experienced, you are in great danger to get lost yourself in the process of production, and you put too much ideas and too much stuff and too much sounds in one song, and the whole thing gets kind of overloaded thing, and listeners can't face it. You, they listen to it, and they just don't know where to listen and what's going on. It's just too much, and this is always a great um, danger you can get trapped in. And when I started to work with Brian, everything was just so easy and so clear. And yeah, that was really in my music career a huge important part, working with Brian together.
Yeah, great story, but yeah, like the best kind of partnership and friendship is when it just flows naturally because of your similar interest and same philosophy of working, because that's how Justin Timberlake and Timbaland back in 2006 had a great partnership.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we had fights about something when I was sure my idea is now the perfect idea, and he didn't. But in the end, it was always getting something done. That was the
Yeah,
interest. And
yeah, like differences tend to happen, but the real like people and mature people find a compromise.
exactly. And yeah, so yeah, that was good time working together. Hey, Brian, maybe you listen to us. Was a good
Yeah.
time.
All right. All right. Question 8. What was Brian's process of writing lyrics?
I can't really tell much about it. He took, his the process was that he always, when we worked together, sat together in the studio, he had this, what I meant before, this little catchy idea. This is just a little phrase, just a little wording. Get up and move, like get up and
Yeah.
move,
Oof.
get up and move. So that's okay. And then he starts to build something around that thing, get up and move, to make it sensible. But then he took just a couple of samples, a couple of loops. He took it at home and he spent quite a lot of time really hidden, completely isolated to do his writing stuff. I'd never witnessed him actually writing the lyrics. And he came back with a lot of good stuff. And then we continued working from that point on then.
Great answer. Question 9. What would you describe a memorable studio session that happened to you? It can be from any time in your life, including your working partnership with Brian.
Um, Not sure I did understand completely your question. Would you please again?
All right, a memorable studio session, as in a session like that was so great to you that you still remember it to this day.
Okay, right. Not particular. I mean, we did a lot of songs together, maybe 20, 25. And we always had these goosebumps when we were sure, when we found something. There was always a moment where we looked at each other and we knew, oh, that might be really good and that might be working. And yeah, that was always it didn't happen all the time, you can't have every day a hit. But
Yeah.
this get up and move thing, I think because it was the early time of Dance Dance Revolution and get up and move. I mean, this is, what better message you can put out there to get up, move, and move your ass and do your stuff.
Oh
and
yeah.
and that was kind of a also for us to the initial moment, to get up and move and do some crazy stuff and good stuff. So that was really a thrilling moment.
Oh yes, that was the next question. What was the creation of Get Up and Move? You can expand the answer because it's such a classic and fun track that I still listen to it this day in the car and when I have the aux cord with someone's speaker.
Wow. Yeah, nice to hear. I mean, this is always very, very thrilling when people telling me that they're still actually listen to that music still. Well, both of us never knew about Dance Dance Revolution, and we never saw it, and we just didn't know what this is about until our publisher agent, he used to deal a lot with the Japanese market. He took, European music and he traveled to Tokyo and met people, and he was like a salesman, and he brought all the European music for licensing to Japan. Especially the Japanese music back in the days, they were pretty orientated to the Western US music, but had the problem that a lot of musicians just didn't have wasn't able, or there were maybe not so much skills in the English language, and they felt like we do need the actors, or the not actors, the artists from the Western countries because our people, when they start to sing or rap in English, it doesn't sound like right. This is
Yeah.
these days probably much better. But back in the days when they start to be interested in Western style music, yeah, there was a kind of demand license for European or US based production and licensing. And then he came back and told us about these machines in the arcades in Tokyo. There was no Dance Revolution on PlayStation yet, just the big machines.
Yep.
And he brought some music samples, and we listened to it, and we said, "What the heck is that?" That speedy stuff, and we started
Yes.
really to laugh about it. We could, what? How crazy are these Japanese people that we imagine we like totally crazy people jumping and humping around to that completely silly kind of that silly bubblegum music.
Yes.
And we were kind of irritated and confused about it. I think my first reaction was, "Are you serious? You want me to make that kind of shit? Really?" Yeah, it's a huge market. Try it, try something. And it was a kind of a commission. Our publisher, he said, "We need content, and I guarantee you a good earning. Do something, and I will take it to Tokyo and I will sell it for you." And it's a good market. There's something going on with that Dance Dance Revolution. And I said, okay, then let's try something. And we went back, Brian and me, into the studio, and then we tried to imagine what's going on when people are jumping on those four arrows and like
Yep.
crazy and make themselves you know it's we thought that is not just another version of karaoke, because someone is on stage and make themselves like an idiot, and it's like the same thing when they jumping around like like these Speedy Gonzalez guys are on those four arrows, and it's like, okay, maybe it's the same concept. Someone's on stage, make himself like an idiot, and other enjoying it, and then we try to imagine this kind of sport, or maybe, I don't know, entertainment. Let's have it
Yeah.
this. And yeah, and then we came up with the idea of get up and move, like, get your ass off the couch, get on the thing and move. That was the initial idea about it. And later on we came to the idea to speed up everything and pitch it up and do with all these crazy speedy versions. And we had a lot of we never were interested in that kind of first, there was no arcade in Germany where you can try it for yourself. Secondly, I never owned a Sony PlayStation, and I only watch it on TV or on later on YouTube. Back in the days when we start doing this, there was no YouTube or such, and yeah, it was kind of very remote distance kind of work for something we never took part of it. Kind of, I don't know, but still kind of successful. So amazing.
Great story. And yeah, like how I got into DDR because my brother was into it. He watched the videos on file sharing sites and was interested in the game, and then he got me interested because I really loved the music, because I was just a kid when all this rave stuff and
Yeah.
drum and bass was actually big. So this was like my gateway into that stuff, and I still listen to stuff to this day. And you're right about the bubblegum speedy stuff, because I feel like it's gotten into my personality, and it just makes me feel good about being myself.
Yeah, maybe it's amazing what music can do. First, you think this is crazy and silly, but actually, it still does something to you, And then, and at the end of the day, you just feel good with it, and that's all it's count, I guess.
Oh, for sure. Like, I get a lot of questions like, how do you listen to this stuff? I said, just be happy in yourself and
Yeah,
be a good dancer.
yeah, yeah. I mean, do you was it the question? Sorry.
Oh, I already got the answer. It was the creation of Get Up and Move.
Yes.
All right, question 11. Did you and Brian feel like you were making something special?
I mean, we in order to know what is about Dance Dance Revolution, we just try to fit into the concept. We didn't try to do something special. We had that was a kind of a commission, you know. Someone once needed content that just is the perfect content for that kind of concept. So there was no margin for doing something individual. So later on when we start, you know, do that DJ Kirk singer thing, that was more our own idea of doing dance music. The Dance Dance Revolution was for us 90% to fulfill the need, the demand of that kind of special content to make it work on the arcade stations.
Great answer. And question 12. What was your reaction to Get Up and Move being included on DDR and Brian's also? Because I bet the song before that was like a moderate club hit, or you were trying to sell it to your local clubs, but then DDR took it to another stratosphere.
No, again, the song was made just as a commission work for Dancers Revolution. You know, communicated by the publishing guy who traveled to Tokyo. He came to us and said, "We need a music kind of style for that a machine, Dancers Revolution machine." And that never appeared. It was freshly made, especially for Dancers Revolution, and that the first monetizing thing went. It was just we became a fee for every machine where this music was built in. The actually, and we'd never, you know, we never seen one of those machines. We never went to Tokyo, and it was a kind of a remote imagination thing. Okay, there must be 100 machines in Tokyo, and 100 songs, and for every song or every machine, there's a fee for it. And okay, so that was it. And then later on, a couple of months later, when they start to sell the CDs along to the whole thing, and especially when Konami starts to, you know, to license that stuff to Sony PlayStation, then we were pretty surprised about the success, and especially the financial success. Back in the days, we earned a lot of money with it because this was the first generation of the CDs. Like it was the very first sampler. We appeared on the very first sampler to for the Dance of Revolution music, and you know, they must sell, worldwide sell a lot of millions of copy of them, of
Oh,
those samples. Of course,
yes.
we had to share with 40 other acts on those samplers, but still, that was for us totally thrilling and exciting when the first check came into my post box. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, yeah. Um, question 13. How does it feel to have a song that has resonated with EDM fans and the Dance Dance Revolution community?
Yeah, I mean, since I've never been a part of this community, probably I would be maybe more excited if I were one of those kids, growing up with Dance Dance Revolution. So to me, that was always, and also Brian Cornell, something we'd never been a really personal part of it, and and therefore we are extra excited about that. We actually could do something for the scene, where the scene takes it really serious, and we were very welcome with our style and with our ideas of having music on Dance Dance Revolution. And this is something you experienced maybe once or twice in your life only. Being
Yes.
on the right time, on the right place, with the right stuff, and things are just working. And I'm still absolutely happy and exciting that I could do that once in my life, having something out there where people still talking about. And do you actually know about these? I wanted to show you and your viewers, Step Maniacs.
Yes.
So, and the CEO of Kai Ward, he reached out to me the year before last year, and he did license a couple of our old songs. So this is still living in the new version of Dance Dance Revolution. Yay!
Yep. And one more thing, the speed version of Get Up and Move, like that should have been a challenge song in DDR, because challenge songs were like remixes of the original, but they had challenge steps where a beginner or intermediate could master. You had to like play heavy or like really challenge yourself as a player, and that should have been a challenge song.
The speed version of Get Up and Move. You mean it's pretty complex rhythm, or is it just
Oh
too
yes.
fast? Yeah.
Oh yes, like because of the fast pace and complex rhythm. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, those breaks. Yeah, maybe I don't know. There must be a couple of guys who do the selection for what music is for that category or this level of skills. And maybe the Get Up Move Speed version was a little bit too complicated. I don't know. I can't tell.
Yeah. It could have been like max 300 if Naoki didn't make max 300. But anyway, question 14. Would you and Brian be down for a Bimani and Dance Mania tour performing your hit Get Up and Move?
First, I really don't know what Benami is.
Uh
And
it's um it's the company that made Dance Dance Revolution, and was a subsidiary of Konami.
oh, okay. I only dealt with Konami. Never heard the Benami. Okay. Performing, no, since this is just it's I mean, we would have to work pretty hard to have a live stage setup. I don't maybe Brian could rap pretty good. Maybe I could do some keyboard work, but it would be a lot of playback based live performing
Yeah.
with that kind of music. Yeah.
But yeah, like Brenda Vaughn, who was a vocalist for Bimani Planetarium, Euro dance group Cartoons, Sonny McNair,
Mhm.
they're all down for a Bimani and Dance Mania tour. So I just have to get the ball rolling and get in touch with promoters that are willing to finance it, and it could happen.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know there's something going on, a road show for Benami and Dance Revolution. Wow, still going on. Amazing.
And question 15, what have you been up to since the creation of Get Up and Move? Because I know you told me about the DJ Kirk stuff, and you're a freelance musician.
Yeah, well, a lot of stuff went down the river since then. right now, I mean, since 10 years or so, I do a completely different style of music, a completely different. I run an online label specialized for music for meditation and yoga. That's one thing. So maybe the old guys who spend a lot of time on the Dance Revolution are tired enough to relax and maybe might be finding interest in my meditation music. Who knows? And then I do a lot of stuff, for library music for licensing. There's a platform, Audio Jungle. I don't know whether it's like a stock market, like photostock.com, just for music, where people are looking around for different kind of music, different genres, and then they put down a license fee, and then can have it on their monetized YouTube videos and stuff like this. And I'm been very interested, always interested in different kind of genres, to learn about a certain genre and then to try find the right instruments and find the right arrangement to put out a song which is perfectly a match for a certain kind of genre. And yeah, it's pretty much that what of course, I am working as a DJ in nightclubs about 10 or 15 years ago. Sometimes I do some private gigs for weddings and or other kind of small events, but I stopped working as a resident in a nightclub. I'm just too old for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'll if you're still doing private gigs, I would like to hire you as a DJ for my events up in upstate because I'm really in desperate need to bring the party to life. And you and another guy from Dance Mania, Gez from 10th Planet, I told him that you guys can come down and DJ here because it's pretty relaxed. But one day I need to throw a massive rave just like old times.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that sometime. Yeah, might be interesting. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Those are all the questions, and it was amazing talking to you. And you have a great rest of your day. And thank you for taking your time with me.
Yeah, John, thank you for having me. It was really thrilling talking and thinking about the old times. It's been a long time for me. It's a long time ago. It was very refreshing to think about all the days and Brian and so on. Very nice.
Yep, indeed. Peace.